drive the car quite quickly. Having a lot of fun. Yeah, made up time. I don't know what's happened to the other guys in our class, but we're enjoying ourselves and we're looking forward to finishing off this last lap and hopefully winning our class.
And he and co-driver Chris Davies were indeed the only Class S crew left standing. As for Hutchison and Bergman, there was no stopping them. The Motorride crew were on a seek and destroy mission. But Cox had not given up hope. In the Motorride meetings, no team orders are issued. He was just 3 minutes adrift. While Grobler and Jordan were comfortably leading the production car class by the proverbial mile. Well, okay, almost 13 minutes. The four-time champion was doing a great job of defending his darling title from just a year ago. By now, the route had been churned up badly and there was more dust than ever, but the Harpers hardly noticed. Nick and Ryan were up into 4th overall in the Atlas Copco, a big move from 7th place after the prologue. Halfway through the last loop, the spectators were making their way to the finish line to watch the spectacle of the dust and mud-covered racers come in. By now, more than 30% of them had to call it a day. By the end of the racing, it would be 50. But not the father and son team of the Harpers, who were doing some low flying on the way to the line. Variawa, who tried his hand at the production car section early last season but quickly reverted back to the special vehicles, was putting together a fine drive despite his brake troubles, and his crew seemed to have sorted that out at DSP. Former SA champions Foss and Pitchford soldiered on as only they can. While another SP class, the Castrol Toyota of Mark Grunier and Chris Birkin, was still very much in it and had not given up hope. The Hilux was sounding like it was asking for more punishment. Just watch those fences, Mark. Certainly hadn't given up any hope and was still going like the clappers. There was still a good 40 odd Ks to go, and in off-road racing, that's a long, long way. Harkis and Moore were up into 8th all the way from 14th. They had their Ford teammate Schroeder keeping them honest, just about 3 minutes behind them. For their team manager Neil Woolridge, it was a frustrating day at the office, as they had to call it a day with a litany of problems. When Kenny put the route book down, it was truly the end of the road. Sulwald and Helberg were in superb form in their Zarko and blazed into the top 10, overtaking 35 cars in the process. Somehow the German has perfected the art of coming from behind, taking it easy in the prologue, and then racing like all heck on the day when it really counts over the longer distances. While Naim Mosaji and Rehan Barhania in the TTR Racing Jimco had just dropped into the 11th place, 2 down from the prologue start time. Nardis Alberts and Colin Hunter kept pointing the big Rapsa bat's nose in the right direction, and the car did the rest, and for them it resulted in a fine 12th place overall and a 7th in Class A. At the end of the day, the notorious Southeaster made its presence felt again, and thankfully blew a lot of the dust away. Just in time for the spectators to enjoy Gary Gillingham and Peter van Vieren scooting by, in 13th place overall and 8th in class. The Keymax property bat was going undercover, but the Cries can never disguise their fine talent as they sped to a Class B win by just more than 4 minutes. And that margin was over the Edenko bat of Johan and Etienne Besaidnout, who were eventually 16th overall. Ruthven and Boshoff and the Roacon Bat Special were 9th in class after a very strong drive. While birthday boy Gareth Walk drove it home on the last loop to take 10th place in Class A. Chris Visser and Jappie Baardnost had to settle for 6th in class in the Castrol Toyota. Looking like it had just started actually. With Century Property Developments, Mark Corbett and Rudy Belzer 1 place further back in the SP class. The crowd certainly got its money's worth as the 3rd placed Class B cars sped by, with the Besaidnouts probably smiling from ear to ear. They were just into the top 20. Schilling and Davies were eventually the only Class S crews still on the road. There were 4 entries and only 1 survived the rigours of Darling. And in Class D, it was the brothers Duplessis, Yuri and Andre, who took line honours by more than 10 minutes. Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux were determined to again do their part for Toyota, and they did. They were leading Class E by almost half an hour. With Labuschagne and Gerber 2nd in Class D and 25th overall, a fine drive by the Raysonics team. Gil Nel and Sandra Labuschagne were 1 place further back, but more importantly, they were 4th in Class B, picking up valuable points. Roacon's White Brothers were 27th overall on debut, and it promised good things for the rest of the 07 season. But some bad luck was waiting for them around the corner. While Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro were 2nd in Class E and 28th overall in the Ford Ranger 2 litre. But trouble for the Whites.
So you got a front run is flat as well?
Yes, it's our 5th flat wheel today. So we'll just see it carry on, see where we can go.
Not too far to go.
I hope not.
Cliff and Louis Weichelt in their Basel Toyota Hilux was 3rd in the D class and were happy with a handful of points after a few small problems. And in the Castrol Toyota of Brian Martin and Oki Fourie, there would have been jubilation too, as they took 3rd in Class E.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Going off the beaten track to find sands from ABSA. Going off the beaten track to find solutions.
At the finish line of the first of 8 races in the 2007 ABSA Off-Road Championship Series, it was Motorride Racing's Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman who took the honours in 4 hours and 26 minutes. And it was another 1-2 for the black and silver stable as the reigning special vehicle national champion Alfie Cox and his co-driver Henny ter Steege made the right turn towards the line in Darling. He was 3 minutes behind, but Hutchison was a happy camper.
Yeah, we're very happy. First overall. End of last season we were first overall. It was the first time I've done that in the Class A. But now it's to start the season off again with another first overall, you know. It was a good race. It was marked brilliantly. All my thanks to Achim, my navigator. He never put a foot wrong the entire day. To the guys at Motorride, we've got Marcia and all the guys from the Cape Town branch to support us, so it's good to come down here and win for them. I've had a bit of bad luck here in Cape Town for the last 2 years, but yeah, to start the year off like this with the first overall, points in the bag, makes me very happy and very proud of what Motorride have done for us. So yeah, we're top of the world.
Cox was pleased to finish a race in Darling.
Well, like I said, you know, Darling's been a gremlin for me. I never finished this race. and 3 attempts, I think. And but to get here is fantastic. But we had our problems along the way. We ran out of fuel 4 Ks from the end, and Jack Peckham towed me over the line, and then Duncan brought me into the service. So it's fantastic, the camaraderie that the guys have got out there. They brought me, and then yeah, to finish second today, it's fun. For motor ride, it's fantastic. And Henny did an unbelievable job again. I have to thank him. Navigator is the most important thing, I believe. I just come along for the ride.
And the ever-green, ever-popular Hannes Grobler provided the ride for his navigator, Francois Jordan. They were victorious for the 2nd year in a row in the Western Cape.
Yes, yeah, we enjoyed it thoroughly today, you know. Luckily the wind blew, and otherwise we would have had a lot of dust, and I think it was good for the guys at the back as well. We're glad to win. It's always nice to win. That's why we're here.
For Nissan Motorsports manager Glenn Hall, his cup runneth over again.
Yeah, fantastic start. I mean, Hannes, as usual, did a perfect job. And, I mean, up until the end of lap 2, Duncan and Hannes were 5 seconds apart after 250 Ks, so that was brilliant. Duncan seems to have suffered a double puncture earlier on, so we're waited with bated breath here. I think it's going to be pretty tight for 2nd place.
Well, 3rd in the specials went to the Harpers, who impressed with a fine debut in the turquoise Atlas Copco, despite a hard suspension.
Yeah, look, I'm very happy with the 3rd. The car brand new, and we need to do a bit of work on the suspension. It was a bit rough out there. It took me a while to get into it, but then I started picking up the pace, and you know, it's a good result for first time out.
Shamir Varayawa brought his Total Motorsport Porter home in 5th place overall and 4th in the special vehicle class.
Yeah, it was a good run today. We had, unfortunately, we drove without rear brakes the whole race, so we were braking on the front wheels, and that could have hampered some time or slowed us down a bit. But no problems with the car. Ran faultless, no punches, nothing. So we're quite happy with our finish.
While Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin delighted Toyota fans with the 2nd place finish in the SP class in the old Toyota Hilux, they'll be itching to get their hands on the new car.
The route was always, route's always very tough, but awesome job. The guys have done a great job marking the route. It's always a nice event. This is one of my favourite events of the year.
Voss and Pitchford overcame their puncture troubles to take 3rd, while Harkus again proved that the Cape is a happy hunting ground for him and the Ford team this time round.
Once again, Cape Town race has been really good to me. I'm not quite sure of the results, whether I've come 2nd or 3rd, but that for me, first time out in SP, and for my new team, for all the guys that worked till, some guys didn't sleep for a week. This is obviously for them, and I think you're going to see good things from Ford this year. Now, there's a lot of time left for me in my driving. There's a lot in the car. I mean, we've basically just taken the car out the box, virtually no testing, and come to this race. So I'm really excited for the year, you know, and I just kept the simple philosophy today of going about 80% the whole day, and let the race come to me, and that's exactly what's happened. And I'm not quite sure of the result, but it's a big one for me and for the team.
It was a 4th, Brandon. Grobler and Jordan were 10 minutes ahead of the Castrol Toyota of Cronje and Birkin, and 50% of the cars in the top 10 were Nissans. And another closeout for the motorride crew, Hutchison and Bergman with a healthy lead. The Cries took 9th overall to win Class B. Until next time you keep it on the road, we'll keep it off-road.
That was the ultimate test, the ABSA off-road